All right, guys, we are coming on just for a minute to talk about this experiment that Jason and I are doing. My name is Nicole Coyne, and I am a registered dietitian and the founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition.
And I'm Jason, Nicole's husband, and I run HSN HQ.
So, we were actually watching Karin Thompson, who's involved with CrossFit Health, do this experiment a few months ago. And Jason and I looked at each other and were like, we need to do this experiment. And basically, what we did is we got continuous glucose monitors. You can barely see it, but basically, it is constantly measuring our blood sugar. And this little patch goes on for 14 days. So, for 14 days consistently, we will have blood sugar trackings every 20 minutes. And why is this important? Well, we know the best way to fight chronic disease is to prevent it. And preventing chronic disease comes from, first and foremost, the three controllable factors that you can control with preventing chronic disease is what you eat, exercise, and tobacco use. So this piece of the puzzle we're going to be focusing on over the next 2 weeks is the nutrition, which is what we really focus on at Healthy Steps Nutrition. So what we're going to do, we are going to eat different foods. And we're going to see how our body reacts to them. And we are not diabetic. We've always had normal A1Cs, which is a 3-month average of your blood sugar. So theoretically, all of our numbers should be fine and normalized within 2 hours of whatever we eat. But I have a feeling it might not always be the case depending on what we're eating. And, this is super interesting to me because food and beverage companies spend millions of dollars on advertising and make things really confusing for people, putting huge health claims on the front of food options like this cereal, thinking that you're eating something really healthy, but it's loaded with carbohydrates and sugar and doesn't have a lot of protein and healthy fat in there. So when you eat it, blood sugar goes up, but then there's nothing to help stabilize it and it crashes right away. And when your blood sugar goes up and down, that's what causes those energy levels to go high and then low and mood swings, all of these different things. So lots of really cool things. And really the goal, what we're hoping to accomplish is to kind of educate our followers, our following on what you eat and how it really affects your body. So we're going to be doing it, but we picked this week, number one, because it's Thanksgiving and people overconsume on Thanksgiving. But number two, we're actually going to be with Jason's dad for the next couple days, and he has type 2 diabetes. He has one of these monitors already, and we're going to be comparing what we eat and how our body reacts to what he eats and eating the same thing and how his body reacts. So it's going to be super interesting to see what someone who has chronic inflammation and chronic disease, what happens with him versus what happens with us.
Yeah, super interesting.
So we have some things in front of us right now. On Jason's side, things that he would maybe gravitate towards on a regular basis.
That's not always true, folks.
Pretty much. And this is one of my staples, RX oatmeal. I actually did it this morning. My blood sugar stayed pretty much the same, slightly went up, but all within normal ranges the entire time. When we're showing you these experiments, we'll show you what our blood sugar was before, what it was right after, what it was 1 hour after, and 2 hours after. And after 2 hours, theoretically, it should be back down to normal. It is so normal for your blood sugar to go up and down when you eat carbohydrates. That's what your body does. You consume those carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up, your pancreas secretes insulin, which causes it to go back down. And the problem with type 2 diabetes is you're chronically eating more carbohydrates than your body can actually break down and get your blood sugar back to a normal level. So people with type 2 diabetes, they have chronic inflammation and they're just over-consuming many of them over-consuming carbohydrates versus type 1 diabetes where your pancreas just doesn't work and you have to give yourself insulin. Right. So some type 2 diabetics have insulin that they take, but most of the insulin comes from type 1 diabetics. So super interesting because even though you might be a normal weight, you still could be metabolically sick. And this is something that we're looking at as we do this experiment.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel how different I am after I have sweetened creamers in the morning and how that's already affected me. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to, I feel it, but I want to see what my body's telling me now.
So, if you are interested in following along, we'll be posting on both of our Instagrams every day, like something we learned, a takeaway, different things that we've eaten, and how our blood sugar has responded. But one of the cool things that Karin did was she actually asked her followers, like, hey, what do you want me to eat? So I can I can show you how my blood sugar responds to this certain food. So we have already gotten some different. Jason wants to make an entire tray of brownies and eat all of them.
You're
I
welcome.
would legitimately get sick if I did that, but I might have one and just see what happens. We already got some requests with yogurts and ice cream, and I'm curious what's going to happen on Thanksgiving, but lots of different things. And the cool thing is, obviously, not everyone has the capability of doing this, but it's just going to allow you to understand what you eat actually causes a reaction inside your body that you don't even feel. And that reaction, if it's constantly day after day, time after time, or all day long, could increase your risk for chronic disease. So we want to really just draw attention and kind of empower, knowledge is power, and empower you to rethink what you eat and go into this new year educated and knowledgeable about maybe some foods that you can pair together, or foods to avoid, or things that are marketed as healthy and maybe are not the best options.
Give me an example of an unhealthy breakfast that we may or may not see. Is there an acai bowl?
Oh, yeah. So one of my favorite, well, not one of my favorites, but one of the things that I'm excited to do is acai bowls. People ask me about this every single time I do a presentation. What's
But it's
going on?
healthy. But it's good for you.
Acai bowls are
Right?
super healthy. So one of our gym members actually has a company that makes acai that's unsweetened, and it tastes very different. And I think it's delicious, but very different than what it would be if you went to like a smoothie shop that's loaded with sugar, and then they add honey, and then they add all these other things, fruit in there that adds a bunch of sugar. I mean, there could be over 100 grams of sugar just in one bowl. So
How many teaspoons is that?
100 divided by 4.
All right, so 25.
Okay, there we go.
25 teaspoons of sugar in one breakfast.
But would you ever eat 25 teaspoons of sugar? Or if you thought something was healthy, would you think that it was 25 teaspoons?
Absolutely not.
So lots of interesting things that we're going to come up with. I'm super curious to see how blood sugar responds with pairing protein, carbohydrates, and fats together. I imagine it's going to help stabilize. If you're eating at night, if you add in alcohol into the mix, what happens with your blood sugar? I know I usually drink my coffee with a lot of creamer, but it's just regular creamer, not sweetened. Jason, on the other hand, has sugary creamer in his coffee. Like, what happens with his versus mine? Or if he does my coffee one day versus his coffee, how is he going to start off the day with his blood sugar?
Not good. Not happy.
You might not be happy, but you'll be healthy. So lots of cool things. We're excited. You can follow us, Nicole_RD_HSN on Instagram. We'll be posting everything there, as well as Jason's, which is nutrition_coach_HSN. We're just excited to do this experiment and hope that it gives you a little bit of knowledge to understand some of the health claims and understand what you really need to do to eat healthy. Hope everyone has an amazing holiday season, and yeah, we're excited.
Tell us what you want us to eat, because it's 2 weeks of fair game, baby.
Oh, geez.